What's going on, everybody? Welcome to The Shift on YouTube with Francisco Rojas today. Obviously, man, go check out the podcast. Me and Nick Earnshaw, we dropped our latest episode just a few days ago. Obviously, giving our NL East and AL East predictions. Obviously, this video definitely going to coincide with that episode as we get into the top five players in the National League East currently going into this season. Look, a little bit has changed, man. It sucks. Edwin Diaz, obviously we did that podcast episode, before yesterday when Edwin Diaz gets hurt in the World Baseball Classic celebration. It sucks, man. Really sucks. He's going to miss the season. One of the more freak injuries we have seen in sports, at least in recent memory for me. So really sucks to see Edwin Diaz. He'll be out for the season. But as I said, still go make sure you check out that episode. I'm sure in the next episode we'll talk about how that Diaz injury affects, the NL East, the Mets, the Phillies, Braves, Marlins. Do I even need to mention Nationals? Not really. No disrespect. Love the Nats. Or not, I really don't love the Nats, but off that. So we'll talk about that. But getting into today's video, like I said, make sure you go check out our podcast episode where we previewed the NL East, but figured it would be kind of fun to talk about the top five players in the National League East currently. So before I get into the top five, I'm going to do two honorable mentions. If you've seen my top five videos before, I always do. I always like to give a couple honorable mentions because, especially in the NL East, man, especially in this division, it is hard to give a top five. To be honest, man, I know people are going to argue with a few of my picks, and that's what makes it fun because this division is so loaded with talent. So loaded. And I really felt like there were more than five players that really could have fit under the mold of the top five in the NL East. So these two honorable mentions, these guys could have been top five players in any other division for sure, 100%. My first honorable mention goes to Sandy Alcantara. And you might say, well, he just came off, a Cy Young season, and he could be the best pitcher, one of the best pitchers in baseball. I agree, and I'm going to get into it when I get into the top five players. Yes, he had a Cy Young season. He had a great, incredible season. 6 complete games, the best. That's the most since Chris Sale in 2016. I'm a big guy on resumes. If you know me and you watched any of my content, listen to any of my content, I'm a big guy on resumes. I think Sandy Alcantara, I think he's been one of the more underrated pitchers in baseball. Before 2022, he was one of the more underrated pitchers in baseball. But I don't think it garners him top five in the NL East. It doesn't, to me, yes, he's become one of the better pitchers. Currently, right now, he has some of the best stuff in baseball. But I can't put him ahead of some of the guys I have in the division that I'm going to get to in a second. I'm going to explain why. Next honorable mention, JT Realmuto. JT, I think we can all agree, maybe it might have been a debate middle of the season last year because JT did not have a good start to the 2022 season. And there could have been a debate whether or not he was the best catcher in baseball. But he went off in the second half, and he silenced all the critics, including me. I felt like, I felt like they could have traded JT for Logan O'Hoppe at some point last year. And obviously I was proven wrong. Obviously, JT Realmuto, best catcher in baseball right now, all around wise. Obviously what he can do. He finished with the career best 6.5 baseball reference WAR last year, 22 homers, 21 stolen bases, led the Philadelphia Phillies last year. 21 stolen bases, led the Phils in 2022. Incredible. And we know what he can do behind the plate. I just think overall, best catcher in baseball. He has to be on this list in some capacity. He did not make my top five, but like I said, might make the top five in other divisions. But for me, honorable mention number 2. As we get into the top five, Coming in at number 5, Trey Turner, star shortstop for the Philadelphia Phillies, coming into the 2022 season. And for me, man, it's more of just like the power, the speed, the contact. Solid defensive shortstop. MLB Network did their top 10 shortstops this year, he came in at number 1. That's not the reason why he's in my top 5, but obviously, some consider him the best shortstop in the game. I just think what he does with the bat all around, contact, like I said, contact. What he does on the bases, speed. I mean, been among the league leaders in stolen bases and sprint speed overall since he's been in, since he's come into the majors. So Trey Turner, easy slam dunk to me, comes in at number 5. Number 4. Now, a few of these I really had to think about because a few of these guys, honestly, in the top 4 here, have had some injury issues in the last, 3 or 4 seasons, but it was hard for me to keep them out of my top 4 here. Max Scherzer. Max Scherzer, really, man? And I know people are concerned about him and Verlander and, looking at what happened with DeGrom last year and the injury issues and the age. Max just has to prove to me. I had to see it first. I had to see him really miss another chunk of time before I would take him out of the top 5 in the NL East. To me, he's still one of the best pitchers in baseball. Until he really starts missing, continues to get injured and miss a chunk of time, he's in my top 5. I just can't. I mean, if you look at what he did even in 23 starts last year, it's not like he missed 15 starts or however many starts. It's not like he missed a whole lot of time. He missed 7 to 10 starts. It's a good amount of time, but it's not enough for me to say, okay, Max isn't in my top 5. So Max for me, still had 5.2 BWAR last year, 173 strikeouts, 2.62 FIP in 145 innings. Still one of the best pitchers in baseball in National League for me. Max Scherzer, number 4. Number 3, Ronald Acuna Jr. Another one who some injury issues the last couple of seasons, but full season under his belt this year, I gotta think that as long as Ronald can stay healthy, I mean, go back to 2021 and look at what he did for the Atlanta Braves. Go back at that year before he got hurt, man. He was on base for 47 homers, 34 stolen bases, a 7 BWAR, 350 total bases. Like, Acuna still to me, Ronald Acuna, I just can't bet. I couldn't, coming into the season, I could not bet against him to say, to not keep him out of the top 3. He's just such a special talent. Can't keep him out. Number 2. He's missed time as well. Again, but I have to mention, he's missed time the last couple of years. Or at least in 2022. Bryce Harper. I couldn't keep him out. Even though he was hurt last year for about 30 to 40% of the season, and even though he's going to miss half of this season, I can't keep Bryce Harper out of the top 5. I mean, obviously he was... it's a catastrophe that he didn't make the top 10 in MLB Network's top 100 players this year. We all know that. All of us know that. He's always proven the haters wrong. The whole people that say he's overrated for whatever reason, I just think they don't like how he came in with his personality in the Major League Baseball, blah, blah, blah. All that stuff. You guys all know what Bryce Harper can do. We saw what he did in the playoffs last year. I don't really need to elaborate on Bryce Harper. My thing with the injuries is I can't keep him out. I just can't. I just think it's really hard for me to keep him out, even though he's going to miss, the first half of the season. I just can't keep Bryce Harper out of my top 5 list. Still at number 2 for me. When healthy, one of the best players in Major League Baseball. And number 1, someone who missed all of the COVID-shortened season for the most part and all of 2021, but came back and had one of the best seasons of his career, Justin Verlander. Justin Verlander, to me, the run he's had since 2018, and when he's been able to stay healthy, obviously, it's almost like Randy Johnson-esque. You could argue every season he's been able to be healthy, that he can win the Cy Young. Even the season in 2018, I believe, is when he finished 2nd or 3rd in Cy Young voting. I think that was second to, I forget who it was, but you could argue that he should have won the Cy Young that year. You could make that argument. Again, I don't know who won I forget who won in 2018, but it doesn't matter. Like Verlander's almost having like a Randy Johnson type of run that Randy had late in his career. I'm not saying Verlander's as good as that, but it's uh, that type of stretch for me, especially late in his career. You know, Randy Johnson was elite until he was like 41 years old. Until he was 41, Randy Johnson was elite. So that's the same type of thing with Verlander. You know, people are going to say the injuries. Well, he missed 2021. Well, he came back last year and had a career year, arguably. Yes, he didn't start, 33 to 35 starts, but still had 28 and still had a 1.75 ERA that led the major leagues, and still had just an unbelievable season. So, I mean, I just the Randy Johnson of this era, I look at Verlander and I couldn't keep him out of that number one spot. Another one where it's like with Scherzer, it's like until he starts getting, unless he starts to drop off or he continues to get hurt, that's a different story. But for right now, going into 2023, I can't keep Justin Verlander out of that number one spot. So that's my top 5, man. Would love to get your guys' thoughts. What did you think of the list, man? I'll give you some other names that, I was just having trouble with, like Austin Riley. How do you keep that guy off the list? You could, if you wanted to have this guy on this list, go ahead. Like Matt Olson, Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor. Like, there were a lot of players that I looked at and I said, and even Edwin Diaz. But the thing with Edwin Diaz for me is, he's about to miss the entire season. I don't know. It just felt weird to put Edwin Diaz in this list. But there are a lot of players in the National Leagues. There is a lot of talent in this division. So I want to hear your guys' thoughts. I know there's going to be people that disagree. Want to hear what your lists were or are. And do you agree? Do you disagree? And yeah, man, totally want to hear everybody's lists. Go make sure you check out the pod. We'll have a link to that in the description box. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Me and Nick will be back next week. See you guys later.